Combating fake Noah Fifita news, what that means for Arizona, what the offense would look like, and breaking down signing day.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, this show is brought to you today by FanDuel. Check it out. You can put down $5 and you can get $150 in free plays if your bet hits with FanDuel. That simple, that easy. All right, now debunking fake Noah Fifita rumors. First of all, people need to be better when it comes to things like this. It was put out by a rivals Twitter that Noah Fifita was entering the transfer portal. This is where fake news. This is where things like this happen. When I saw it, it didn't make a lot of sense to me initially. I know the family, and that's not really their style to do something like that, and to have it broken by some guy that I've never even heard of. That is something that definitely surprises me to a certain extent. Then. So I messaged the father, I messaged Les, and got back to me almost immediately and said, no, this is not true. I have no clue where this is. He's not in the portal. He is at the facility right now. Things like this just can't happen. And when you get sites that just make up things like this, it's detrimental to the kid. It's detrimental to pretty much everybody involved. And there's no reason to really do it. I would be honestly like if Noah Fifita is back at Arizona. First of all, I mean, they're gonna have to put an OC obviously on this staff. We're gonna have to figure out exactly what that one is. I think we're gonna know in the morning what exactly the deal is there. But I think they have every intention of coming back, depending on who the offensive coordinator is. They like Arizona, and I put this out there before that the Arizona coaching staff and has Noah. This family likes them, and Noah likes Arizona. This city or Tucson, this city has embraced him. They like him, and I think that he's a kid that really kind of goes by the book. He wants to, I think, prove people that this past season was a fluke and that it was the freshman year that we saw him tear it up. That more people that's who he is, and I think that's what he wants to do. He has not entered the portal. This would be if he does enter the portal, which again I doubt he does, but who knows. I think it will be something. It will be an official little statement. And that will be that. But that's basically what I see happening there. But that is fake news. I think that he has every intention of being Arizona's quarterback at this point next season. Now, let's talk a little bit about where everything else does reside then with Arizona football and the priorities, and then we're going to get to the recruiting class as well, and everything that is in play there. But the first thing is you got to figure out this offensive staff. I would imagine that Matt Atkins is going to be moved back to tight ends coach at the media presser today. Brent Brennan referred to him multiple times as tight ends coach Matt Atkins. I'm fine with that. If he's the tight ends coach, I just can't have him as the offensive coordinator. He might be a great offensive coordinator one day, but that's still just a little bit too big of a step, I think, at this stage. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Josh Oglesby, because Josh Oglesby is a guy who Brent Brennan likes a great deal, but I thought he did a terrible job this year. I don't know any other way to put it. I think he did a very, very bad job. And with Josh Oglesby, you got to be able to sit there and say that he is he just didn't do a good job. He changed the offensive scheme around. Not only did he change the offensive scheme around, he also he basically players regressed under his watch. Wendell Moy was not nearly as good, and instead of going with the Brennan Carroll approach of having players hold their blocks. He decided that he was going to switch that one and move that around and wanting players to get upfield, and that was obviously a problem. That was not as good. So I think that's going to be an interesting way to see how all of this does play out. But Oglesby, I have no clue. I think we'll know in the morning what exactly the deal is. Now, when it comes to the wide receiver, when it comes to the wide receiver position, you lost T-Mac. And obviously last year you didn't have a lot of guys that were, besides him. Chris Hunter emerged. That was good. But you need to be able to find other players, and I think you're going to have to hit that in the portal. I think you're going to have to be able to hit that in the portal in a big way. And I think the first one that we're talking about right here is, I think you're looking at is somebody like an Isaiah Mizell. I think Isaiah Mizell is going to have every opportunity to be able to hop in here. He's a borderline four-star kid out of Florida. He's a speedster. Arizona needs guys like that. Now, again, you're going to need to be able to get bigger dudes for sure. But Isaiah Mizell, I think, makes a lot of sense, especially considering some of the players that some of the players that you ended up losing. You need some speed, but you're also going to need some size. Keep in mind, you lost to Terry Shelton, who became a high four-star type kid, and not only that, you also lost a Tonkora. Now, I think with we're looking at this, you also say who's somebody else you could add. Gio Richardson's another guy Gio Richardson's another one that's out of Phoenix. I like Gio Richardson. He's good. It's going to be interesting to see how this one does play out, though. But I do think that I think he's got more potential than maybe some other people, and he's a little bit bigger as well. So you got to be able to you got to be able to say that this is kind of the stage where we're at right now with Arizona. You got to get some more receivers. I would imagine they're going to hit that one in the portal. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about some of the other positions here. That running back position. This is gonna be Kedrick Reesano's spot, and not only is this going to be Kedrick Reesano's spot, this is going to be something that. This is going to be something where he's going to be the bell cow, and not only the bell cow. I think we're also kind of at the point too where this is an ex top 10 player coming out of college or high school. Kedrick Reesano is a beast. Now there's going to be playing time that's going to be able to be available behind him because keep in mind Speedy Luke is he's gone. He's in the portal, obviously. So you're going to have to be able to find some other ones. Who is somebody that could fit in that role? Arizona's got somebody that I think is that's going to be Mason might be able to be a contributor almost immediately, and it's somebody, like I said, I've said this from day one. I think with Alonzo Carter, he's going to do a decent enough job recruiting, and I think at the running back position, he's going to be just fine. Wesley Yarbrough is a guy that he liked very, very early on. 5'10", 195, out of Texas. He can move. He's a little bit. He can move around a little bit. He's good. He's going to be probably in that competition. I would also imagine, though, too, you're going to see some other players that are going to get it. But make no mistake, that's going to be Kedrick Reesano's spot. Not only is that going to be Kedrick Reesano's spot, he's going to be that bell cow. Now, at the tight end spot, looking at somebody like a Sam Olsen has moved on. Good. So that means that that's got to be Kean Burnett's spot. Kean Burnett in the spring and fall was an absolute monster. Problem with Kean is that he just kept getting hurt. And not only did he keep getting hurt, it was kind of the point too where it was what's now next. He has got to be that guy for Arizona going forward. He just has to. He has got to be a star for Arizona. I don't know why he couldn't be. And I think that obviously he and Noah have a long history with each other. So I think that's kind of something that you need to look at as well. Now, when you look at things too, you also know for a fact that we're kind of at the stage too with you've got to be able to get another tight end in there, and I think that's where Kellen Ford comes into play. Kellen Ford is really, really good. I mean, he's a top 25 tight end in the country. Not only is he a top 25 tight end in the country, he's somebody that you watch him and you can also say, okay, that guy's got some real skill to him. This is somebody that Brent Brennan has known for a long, long time. And again, the great thing about him too is that he can play and he's good. I think you could go with some two tight end sets there. Hopefully, at least that would be nice to be able to go with some two tight end sets. And if you can do that, I think it makes Arizona's life a lot easier. So Kellen Ford, a nice little pickup for the Wildcats. Now, there's going to be some real concerning parts. We're going to talk about that offensive line here in just a second. But first, Bettor Together, everybody. Bettor Together, a new one I haven't read here before. Check it out at Bettor Together. Here's the deal. Download Bettor Together now from the App Store and sign up using promo code Locked On for a free $10 entry into NCAA football or NFL contests. Play with me in the Locked On CFB Saturday games contest this Saturday. Remember this code Locked On because winning alone is fun, but it's better together. Again, download Bettor Together now from the App Store and sign up using promo code Locked On for a chance to play in a contest. Because winning alone is fun, but it is better together. Duh. Check it out. Bettor Together. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we need to talk about that offensive line now because that's a big problem for the offense. That's a big problem going forward is that you're losing big Jonas Savaiinaea. Jonas Savaiinaea is going to be a first-round pick. He is good. Also, you are losing Josh Baker. Josh Baker is the epitome of a player that I don't think you really appreciate fully what you had until he's gone. I think that's going to be the case with Josh Baker, a really, really good player. You got Wendell Moy hopefully coming back, but I also don't know that that is going to be the case. If you get Wendell Moy back, then I think that that's obviously something to build around. But there's also a lot of questions that I think do come into play though with that. There's really nobody in the portal right now. There's nobody really in the portal at this point where you're like, okay, that guy's going to be able to make a real difference. And not only is he not going to be able to make a difference, you're going to have to go in and you're going to be able to have to find some different players. And there got to be contributors. They got to be difference makers. And not only do they have to be those type of players, you got to be able to find guys because again, there's nobody in there. You got the kid from Modern Day. That's all well and good, but that's not really going to change what you're doing. It's going to be interesting to see who that offensive line coach is, though. Could it be Josh Oglesby or could it be somebody else? We're going to find that one out in the morning, and that's going to be an interesting one to see how that does play out. I don't know who that guy's going to be. I don't think really anybody knows, and I think that's where that's where so much of this intrigue does reside. Now, so I would expect Bobby Wade back. I would expect Matt Adkins to be the tight end. I don't know who the OC is going to be. Also, Alonzo Carter going to be the running backs coach. Oglesby, I'm not sure on. We'll see. Now, moving over to the defensive side of the football. Oh gosh, where to start on the defensive side of the football? That's something that's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, the defensive line coach, Joe Sumalo, I don't think he did a very good job. He doesn't do anything for me, to be honest with you. As we've talked about before, he wasn't wise enough to realize that Big Bill Norton was better than Chuba May. That's not good. He also wasn't good enough to, the staff wasn't good enough to realize what they had in Russell Davis. That's not great either. So there's obviously those two situations. But Sumalo is back now. What is this going to be then from an Arizona perspective? And I don't know exactly what where we're at with this. You look at that defensive line. You bring back Chuba May. Okay. I don't know that Chuba's very good, but either way, you got Chuba there. Now you've also got then I would imagine, and I could be totally wrong, but I kind of think that Ty is probably going to hit the transfer portal. I think he wants to get paid again. I don't know that for a fact. I'd love to be wrong there. Trey Smith, what's the deal with him? Who knows? But you've got to add a lot of different pieces, and you've got to be able to strike. You got to be able to hit these ones too. You can't strike out on these ones. Now listen, there's going to be some guys that you're going to miss on. I get it. That's just the way that college football goes. There's going to be some guys that you are going to miss on, but you have got to be able to get difference makers on the D line. That's where the portal really comes into play. In the portal, you've got different dudes who can make different. How do I put this? Different impacts. But that's where you get the strength. That's where you get guys that have been in college, Division I college programs for a couple years, and outside of the immediate impact guys that generally go to SEC schools. That's the kind of ones you're going to want. You're going to probably want to get some of those bounce backs. So, but the whole D line, it's going to have to be dealt with. Isaiah Johnson, hopefully back. I like Isaiah Johnson. The problem with Isaiah Johnson is that Isaiah Johnson's always hurt. But when Isaiah Johnson is healthy, Isaiah Johnson is good. So there's obviously that. But you've got to be able to get basically an entire new defensive line. And if you can get an entirely new defensive line, probably can't be much worse than last year. Now, Samalo, I would assume, is back. He doesn't do a ton for me, but that just kind of is. That just kind of is what it is at this point. Now, let's talk a little bit then about where. Let's talk a little bit then about that linebacker spot. Jacob Manu. I'll put it to you like this: if Jacob Manu is back, then I would assume Noah Fifita is back. Obviously, Manu got hurt last year. The problem that I think Manu had that kind of surprised me is that Manu didn't look like he was in great shape last year. I mean, I'm not breaking any news, but Manu looked a little overweight, and a guy like that, you can't really be overweight. So Manu did not look great, but you obviously want to get him back. Tay Brown, okay as well. No problem really with what Tay Brown was able to do. And Danny Gonzalez, if he's your linebackers coach, that's kind of whatever for me. But those two guys, that's not a bad one. But you got to be able to get some. Better players in there. You got to be able to get a Como or somebody like that to be able to really contribute. And if you can get somebody that can really contribute, that obviously makes things a lot easier. So, and then you look at the defensive backs. That's going to be really interesting because who knows how that one's going to play out. You've got Tacario Davis. Tacario Davis is a good football player. I never felt that he was quite as good as people were saying, and I think that a lot of people thought that he was that good because he entered the portal and you had a lot of pass breakup stats and he's big, but I don't really see him as being the one that you look at and you're like, okay, that's a next level player there. Arizona would obviously welcome him back, but who knows how that one does play out. Opposite him, you got MGK still, and you could possibly have Traden Stukes as well. I mean, makings of not a bad defense or a cornerback group, honestly. And then at the safeties, you could potentially return Gunner, and you could potentially return Dalton Johnson. I'll be interested to see who their position coaches are, how that does play out. But that's actually not a bad unit. That's a fairly decent unit if you're able to bring back everybody. But in this day and age, who exactly knows how that all is going to? Who all knows? But the big thing, though, that I think that we need to continue to talk about then is this coaching staff, because there was too many missy valves. There was too many just things that can't really happen. And we're going to talk about that and learning from that experience. But first, FanDuel, check it out, FanDuel. Here's the deal. You can put down $5 and you can get $150 in free plays if that bet hits. Check it out at FanDuel. Again, you got the NFL, you got college football, you got college basketball, you got a lot of different things. And check it out at FanDuel.com. Again, going to thank me later on this one. You got, like tonight, you got Duke Auburn. How cool is that? Maybe you got an idea and you're like, I actually like Duke in this game, but you might say Mike Luke, that guy's an idiot. I'm going to go against him. Go Auburn. Probably make some money that way. But either way, at FanDuel.com, that is the place where you can. That is the place where you can really make some money and feel good knowing that your money is good. Check it out at FanDuel.com. Again, $5, $150 in free plays if you win and you're a new customer. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the coaching staff. And first, with Robert McDaniel, I have no clue what's going to go on with him. I know that Oregon lost their California lost their quarterback. He went to Oregon, got a lot of money. He used to be there as well. We'll see how that plays out. But the first thing that this coaching staff has to do is they've got to get an identity. They clearly went into last offseason into the season with no identity. I mean, you had Brent Brennan talking about it, that they're still trying to figure it out, and they spent the entire season trying to figure it out. That can't happen. In this day and age, you have to be able to have an identity, because if you don't have an identity, you're going to be swimming up a stream that entire time. You've got to be able to have an identity. And offensively, what is that going to be? Are you going to be a quick hit strike? Are you going to be somebody looking to, an air raid? Are you going to look power? What are you looking to do? And I think that's the thing that you've got to look at. You've got to figure that out first, because they clearly didn't figure that one out last year, and it cost them, and it basically wasted a season with some really, really talented, promising players. That's you can't have that one happen. And then from a coaching staff, you got to get a dynamic offensive coordinator. This is with all due respect, but you got to get somebody. You got to scrap whatever you tried doing last year, because that ain't working. You got to get some real professionals in there, people that have done this before, a real quarterbacks coach, a real OC, and because again, if Noah Fifita's back, you got to be able to put him in. A situation where he can actually take advantage of everything that he's got, and I think that's where it's going to be fascinating. But either way, you have got to be able to get better, and you got to be able to get better across the board. If you're not better across the board, then I think that that's going to be a problem. You've got to get. We talk about coach or players. You got to get better at that coach and those coaching spots too. And then defensively, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get bigger? Are you trying to get more dynamic? What exactly are you trying to do? I think that's the question that I think so many people are wondering, and I think it's a very good question. What do you want to do on that side of the football? You got to be decent. Not only do you have to be decent, you've also got to be able to be somebody that has an identity. And whoever that DC is, whoever's calling those plays, you got to get bigger up front too. And we talked about that. The defensive line has to be a top priority for Arizona football, because again, it was small, it was undersized, and it just honestly wasn't good enough this year from a talent perspective. It just wasn't. So you got to be able to figure that one out. You figure that one out, then I think that you're maybe in some better shape, but you still got to be able to get that one. If you don't get that one, then I think you got some real concerns. That's where Arizona's got to be better. Not only does Arizona have to be better, they've got to be able to get players in there. But again, this is going to be a massive offseason. People know where I stand on Brent Brennan, but at the end of the day, you've also, I can't even Brent Brennan's biggest supporters. You don't have a lot of room for leeway. But you've also got to be able to be just better. I don't know what else to say. You've got to be better, and not only do you have to be better, you've got to be able to have an identity, and you got to be able to win a certain amount of games. Now, where are we at then with college basketball? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. You got three dudes, and you got to get two of those three. You got to get either Elijah Arenas, Koa Pete, and Braden Burries. Now, again, it's probably going to be one of the two guards and Koa Pete, but you can't miss out on all those guys. You got to be able to get one of those three. Tommy Lloyd is a he's a very, very good coach, and he's got to be able to just get better players in here because, again, if you don't bring in better players, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So that's what we're going to be focusing on a ton, is getting 2 of those 3 players. You got to get NBA players. You don't get NBA players, you are not going, it's just going to be difficult because your margin for error in the transfer portal is just very, very low at that point. But we're going to talk about that. And obviously, if there's breaking news on the football coaching staff, we're going to discuss that as well. But again, just a lot of different things to be looking at, though. From an Arizona perspective. But again, this was a tough season. This has been a really tough season, but this is also the life we chose, everybody, and there's nothing better than being a Wildcat fan. On that note, though, very, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. Bear down, back the A, and we will be back with you tomorrow, TTFN.